Morning, everyone. Just to prove I'm a real person and not an AI bot here, with, as I often say, a face for radio. But there you go. Everyone, welcome to this morning, this afternoon. We're really pleased that so many people can join. Little bit about today's session, actually, because we worked out we're over 100 people by now actually coming to talk to, or actually to see this talk. Just 2 weeks ago, one of the largest exhibitions and smart factory exhibitions across Europe was Smart Manufacturing and Engineering Week, and our CEO Annie took one of the keynotes. We're just going to flip one forward and just have a look at a little screen grab of that. As Annie there, we'll meet Annie very shortly. But what we were talking around was that theme. We look at research, we look at where in that maturity curve, and we see a lot of people either looking at first AI pilots, or actually taking AI pilots and scaling them across the organization. So Annie delivered the keynote here at this session. I think the people that we want to talk about is Wade as well, because this was our stand here at the exhibition, and we co-exhibited actually with Wade, and the other person that we're going to introduce you to shortly is Peter, who's Peter Piscata, who's the CEO from Wade, and we'll be talking around data as well. So at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my content off screen. We've had a couple of technical issues here. I'm going to take my content off screen. Annie, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to hand over to you. Annie is the CEO of the Data Shack. I'm going to hand over to you, and what we'll do is we'll ask you to present from your screen now. And we appreciate everyone.
Hope everybody's well, and Al, thanks for that intro. Guys, of course, it was such a pleasure seeing so many of you at Smart Manufacturing Engineering Week in Birmingham, but it's such a pleasure to see all of you today. We've got huge registration. I got stopped on the way to grab a coffee after my talk in Birmingham by a few of you saying, please, Annie, can we have the recording? So today the guys will clean up and take out some of the stuff that's the technical difficulties, but you'll get the recording after this, guys. So bear with us as this is a live show, but I'm really glad to be presenting to you guys today. Thank you for being here. So guys, really talking you through and really the agenda for this is talking a little bit. We've repeated this now that this year was the third year at Smart Manufacturing Engineering Week. The previous 2 years was encouraging. We heard more and more of AI adoption in manufacturing and industrial space, and it's been really encouraging to see the progression. And then last year, year one, and then just looking back at the first year, 2024, when we attended, we always, and the team does such a lot of research and ourselves to assure that we understand really what it is that you guys want. What are manufacturers saying to us that they need? What are they struggling with? The biggest takeaway we had from the survey in 2024, the survey is done by the manufacturer, that the guys who put on the show. This goes out to 16 to 20,000 manufacturing companies in industry, asking, doing a survey, understanding what these organizations are struggling with specifically. And this gets published before the show, so we can really understand what it is that you guys are asking for in needing. In 2024, 63% of manufacturers told us still they don't know where to start with AI. 9% of the organizations, as you can see on the screen, has started to deploy with relatively small success. And then last year came the big spanner in the works. And the big spanner in the works came when MIT released this report to say AI projects, 95% of AI projects actually failed to deliver business value, and really scared. And guys, really some of the tech stocks, and this was a lot around generative AI. I can tell you, and I always say here, the type of AI that we really engage with is not always, people think, and the newer generation thinks that generative AI or chatbots that is AI, and we've been doing AI and building models for 26 years with various states of algorithm maturity and machine learning and so forth. So I'm dubious as to, exactly what sort of a sample was taken here and from what community, what type of communities. And I always say I'm a statistician. I'll bore you in person. But guys, I'm always dubious of samples and who actually was sampled for this type of report. And also, guys, if you fail at that high rate, you're perhaps not doing it right, in my opinion. And therefore, this talk today really to say to you guys, there are methodologies, there are ways to do this right. And you can see this specifically focuses heavily on large language models and generative AI. So guys, yes, those are pretty new and it's changing day to day. I was in the US last week with a pharma customer who told me that a lot of the AI work they did with Claude was locked down by the government on the Tuesday morning, and they had to start over from scratch. So I can understand in that fast changing Gen AI world where this could go wrong very quickly. But guys, the type of AI we work with is really in continuous improvement, automating those business processes for you, your manufacturing processes, and becoming predictive and prescriptive with AI algorithms. But let's just look back at today. Thankfully for all of us, the manufacturer again this year did the manufacturing momentum report. If any of you are interested in it, please contact Amy on our marketing address, as well as Elise or Josh or anybody in our customer client focus teams. And we're happy to share this. But really, better news in 2026 as opposed to the 63%. It's dropped to 48% of manufacturers telling us that they're still unsure where to start. So the stats are looking a little bit bigger. And 34% actually said that it has delivered some business value, but 44% of the people surveyed, and on the day, I think we had around about 18,000 people attending. It's a 2-day event, but this was done before. 44% remain neutral. They're not sure, does this work or doesn't it work? 43% of them told us they have use cases picked. And what are those use cases? Happy to say those are the right things: productivity and gains. That's the kind of stuff that you guys have always been working on with other methods like Lean and Six Sigma and Agile and all of those sort of techniques. But AI, and you'll see further on in my slides that there really is, you don't throw those methodologies out the water. When you're working with AI, they still work, make the whole thing fit together. So that brings me at really the gist of the talk. I just wanted to give you a look back of where the sort of the state of the nation of our manufacturing customers. But say to you right now, and I think in my talk 2 years ago was really about 5 tips for getting started. We see a lot of people getting started and failing. We really want you to turn it into results. And we really feel so. My first talk 2 years ago, and we've had several webinars, and it's a series. You can also go and download those from our website if you're interested. But turning this into actual results. And last year, the manufacturer actually asked me to really talk around 5 actual use cases that we've delivered that's worked, and we managed to show that it really does deliver. But today is really about how do I take it from one use case that may or may not work to actually scaling this, because scaling this is where the real value happens. So how do I do that? How do I turn that ambition? That's why the talk's called Imagine. I want to imagine yourself being successful. I'll share a little quick joke. My little granddaughter, Savannah, does gymnastics, and I went to give her a pep talk before her regional champs, and I said to her, Savannah, are you ready? And she said to me, Granny, I am the gold. If I don't think I'm the gold when I get out of the starting blocks, how am I going to win? I can't worry about everybody else. But guys, imagine, and that's really what this talk is about. Imagine being successful, because you can be. And this is what these tips are all about. So the first tip for me, fast is the new smart. I think I said this 2 years ago as well. There's no debate, should we or shouldn't we? If you look at the curves of companies or our customers that outperform, you don't want to be just outlasting your competition or slightly go in a price war with them and those things. They are not making you outlead the industry. And AI can be one of those differentiators that make you outlead people in your industry. So start right now. Don't get left behind. Guys, you can start with the smallest possible use case ever and bring yourself forward. You do not have to start with the big things. Learn the methodologies, learn what to do, get started. But then your next question to me will be, it's great to go fast, but how do I assure I'm not part of that 80% failure rate, which guys can be difficult. My answer to this is really to follow this. We practice what we preach. And that brings me to my tip 2, which is a bimodal approach. We want to assure that, yes, you get started. Pick that first single, simple use case, and then use that to test whether you have all the building blocks in place to actually scale. So if you're looking at this, and I love this slide, this is what we've developed to move fast. You do have to start with a first single use case. We can help you understand that you're ready. Do a readiness assessment. Do you have the things that it will take to be successful before you start? Looking at those use cases, guys, not every use case is an AI use case, please. There's other ways and means sometimes which we need to solve your problems, but AI is but one of the tools. But if AI does really well on the right use cases, let us help you prioritize those use cases. Whilst we're delivering on that first use case, work on your AI strategy. Understand that we have everything, we prep to scale while we're doing that and writing your strategy, because we are testing things like your data infrastructure, data management, governance, frameworks, compliance. A lot of our customers tell us that they worry about talent and culture. A few years, 2 years ago, spoke with a big, large auto manufacturer, and they're sitting with their GM in the boardroom, talking them through this bimodal approach. He said to me, Annie, you know what I worry about? I've got thousands of people working in my fabrication and assembly plants, but the 5 people who really know about AI and want to progress us, the talent and culture, are sitting in this room. How do I deploy that at scale? And working with you guys, you can see the months to value. It shouldn't cost you a ton of money and take you that long if you're using the right approach and use this bimodal approach. Taking this building block being from preparing to scale into become factory enabled, transition from just one use case, because guys, that is where a lot of the problem lies. People try one use case, fail, one use case, fail. They don't prep to scale and don't use the right methodology for that one use case. So making sure we put all the right things in place for you, technology, stakeholders, make sure everybody's invested, spaces to test these models and make sure they're doing what they should be doing until you get to a smart factory center, AI center of excellence. Where this is intelligence driven, you've solved quite a few use cases and you can plug in new ones. Once you've got a recipe to plug in, becomes a lot easier. and also to use it for advanced use cases and to monitor and monitor the operations and understand that your models keep delivering value or switch them out when they don't. So really, we want you to move fast from AI readiness through the bimodal approach, making sure that talent and culture, we train and upskill, and we take the team of people with you. We can deploy that factory wide, and we can work to a center of excellence very quickly. I've got some statistics from the US from last year that said that the typical AI use case takes over a year for first use case to be deployed, and costs over $2 million. This should not be the case with the bimodal approach. Start small, test the waters, build your strategy, test that you have all the building blocks, then prepare to scale and get to a center of excellence. So my third tip is really about, well, I've invested so much money, and we had so many people coming to the stand to say, you know, we've invested money in Lean and Six Sigma, and we've trained up all of our process engineering teams, a lot of the businesses we work with, even their core chemical engineering teams, their mechanical teams, they've trained everybody on Lean Six Sigma. So what is my tip? AI does not always know better, guys. These methodologies that you've been working and the language your teams have been speaking for the last 20 years, do not throw it out. They're there for a reason. We've seen the stats on AI modeling models fails. We know the stats on a process that's well capable, less than 3.4 defects per million opportunities. That's proven success. Do not throw those methodologies out. Merge and make sure that your AI strategy fits with your business strategy. When we look at the AI readiness and the use cases, we assure we align. Those methodologies align well. Your model operations type methodologies like CRISP and these things we use for AI align well with Lean and Six Sigma. You can marry them, and don't make your business fit AI. Make AI fit your business. So do not throw out the methodologies. They are a good problem-solving method, but use them with your AI methodologies, the right things in that respect. Your processes are complex. Your problem-solving methodologies apply well to a shift in your manufacturing process from beginning supply chain to the end of that. Making sure, guys, that you don't just throw those away. The methodologies can be well used when solving AI type problems. Getting to tip number 4, a lot of the time we walk into a factory and IT has researched some sort of an AI solution. It does not speak well to the stakeholders in a manufacturing or industrial processing plant. We deal in the mining industry, we deal in the oil and gas industry. The personas that will consume AI and the predictions and the recommendations from AI are not data scientists. They are the 4 people you see in front of you on the screen. Laura, she's a supply chain manager. Greg, who is a process engineer, he keeps the lights on. He makes sure that operating efficiencies are up and running and working, and the plant's running the way it should, and I don't have stoppages, breakages, and downtime. I have Sally, who works in the QA lab that really does final product inspections and makes sure my customers get products that are acceptable to them, and I don't have stock wastage and unacceptable product going out to my customers. And then you have Bongi here, and Bongi is the GM of a plant. He's responsible for the whole show. Each of these people have different ways of looking at the data and how they consume it. So when you're choosing AI, make sure that it's built your environment, and that what your users consume actually looks like something that they're expecting. So if you look, anything from incoming supply right across that manufacturing value chain, right up until the finished product, you've got different stakeholders, your leadership teams like Bongi. He wants a high level view of exactly what my plants are doing. Peter, I'll be right with you. And then departmental managers that really have to go and inspect really deeply into their department or production line what may be going on and needing to understand. Process engineering, like Greg, as I said, and Sally in quality control and distribution. Make sure that looks the way that it's supposed to look. And guys, a lot of the time, and this is what I'm going to transition over to Peter, because Wade is a strong partner for us. A lot of the time when customers come to us in that value chain, they say to us, I don't have the data for AI, or it's not ready, or I can't start. I don't have the platform ready. And this is where people like Wade come in and help us and help our customers be successful. And Peter's going to talk to us a little bit more around, that scaling across that platform and data, because data is where it's all about. So Peter, happy to hand over.
Yeah, thanks, Annie. It's super interesting, and thanks for inviting us. So yes, my name is Peter Piscaro. I'm the CEO of a company called Wade. And just to do a quick introduction then, yeah, we partner up with DataShack because I think we all got into a phase now when successful AI analytics initiatives require both domain expertise, where the DataShack team is coming in, and the trusted data. So the DataShack manages, as Anna described, the manufacturing operations, while we, as I said, the data guys, they call us now, we ensure that the data is governed and automated and ready to scale across the business. And we're doing that by automating the data flow, all the steps from the data sources, from the machines and the ERPs and so on, to the data products. And we use the term data products because that's kind of a collective terms of, could be AI applications, could be machine learning notebooks, it could be kind of the traditional Power BI dashboards, etc. So we manage that by monitoring and governance the data. By doing that, we're also creating a trusted and scalable foundations for the analytical and AI. And Annie also shared that the manufacturing momentum report for this year, just released before the Birmingham conference, clearly shows that AI projects often succeed in isolated pilots, but they do struggle sometimes to scale across the factory or the enterprise. And that is something that we repeatedly see, that it's not often the AI model itself that gives us the challenges. The challenge is getting more and more often that the operational data foundation underneath it, that's where the challenges are. And as you know, the manufacturing environments are fairly complex. You have the MES systems, you have the ERPs and the sensors and the SCADA systems and the spreadsheets, etc. And the local plant solution all generate data independently. So when organizations try to scale the AI initiatives, fragmented data operations quickly become the bottleneck. So again, the challenge is no longer proving that AI can work. The challenge is scaling it reliably, across the operations. And as Annie's flipped the slides now, the instead of building those fragile, manually and maintained data pipelines, from the data sources, we actually automate the full data lifecycle, meaning the integrations. You're grabbing the data and transform it, meaning that you clean it, you wash it, you secure the high quality, you orchestrate the data, so meaning in what order is going to be loaded from the data sources into some kind of data foundation or data platform. And we also monitor and governance that process, because when you're looking at the data in your AI application or in your report, you really need to understand, is the data loaded and transferred and orchestrated in a proper way. So that is something that we also provide to the market. And this approach reduces the implementation time and effort, and also accelerate the deployment. So it's not it's not only give you faster projects, but you can scale out in a trustworthy operational intelligence. And I think we also know, we discussed it in Birmingham, that the AI or the other application will never be better than the data feeding it. So what we do is we enable and scalable and trusted industrial AI operation, and meaning that we're providing high data quality to the data products. Could be the AI applications then. Yeah, next slide, please. So just a little bit on the result side. So by doing this, we cut the project. Now we're just going to highlight the result of having this approach. But when you're doing reducing the manual work, we do avoid human errors, because even though we are great people, we do mistakes. We also simplify support and maintenance process, because that is also lowering the operational complexity. And this also makes it easier to add and maintain the data sources, because we also know that you are shifting in and out machines, and you are putting new sensors on older machines, and we are improving the process all the time. And we're really trying to kind of create a plug-and-play product. So the data products at the end to the data consumer is something that they can rely on out of that. Next slide, please. Now we go into the better together, and that's a little bit on this partnership, because it makes it really powerful if you combine the data shack capabilities with our capabilities, providing the high quality data, where we bring the scalable and automated data foundations required to operationalize those findings, while as Annie described previously, brings deep manufacturing expertise, the AI application, and operational intelligence. And also, she also described a little bit around practical smart factory use cases. So together we help you guys to move from the AI ambitions, because I think we all are eager and curious of doing that, to really measurable operational outcomes. Next slide, please. And again, a little bit to summarize this. We automate the data operations, while Data Shack operationalize the manufacturing expertise. And again, the challenge is not the AI itself. It is often the underlying data foundation with the fragmented systems and inconsistent data, and most likely manual processes. So again, I'm just going to leave you with 3 tips. So just next slide, please, Annie. So I would urge you to start to industrialize your data flow, meaning focusing on automating the governing how the process and how the data moving across system, not just looking on the dashboards and reporting. Second, start with the business value. I cannot emphasize that enough. So and I think also Annie underline it. Start small and start now as well. Start to something that you can really see the business value super concrete, and we together we will be able to also do some assessment where to start and where to follow, and let the business challenge drive your data priorities rather than starting with technology. And I think we all like technology, but we need to support the business. And the third one, design for reuse and scale. Build the integrations and spend time with data models and the data product that can support not only the data, the use cases that you're looking at right now, but maybe that data can also support multiple use cases over time. So look at these 3 tips, and we are more than happy to take any follow-up on this one after this web session. So that is in short version what Wade is bringing to the table, and the synergies you will gain when engaging the combination of our both capabilities. So back to you, Annie.
Thank you, Peter. Really great insights. There a lot of the time, as I say, a starting point for our customers is we don't think we're ready for AI. Data is a challenge, and I always say AI to me is a model of a beautiful home. But if the plumbing doesn't work and you open the tap and no water comes out, you're not going to be no matter how beautiful the house, we can't work without those really tried and trusted data platforms, and really works well for our customers when we join forces with that. But guys, customers often ask me, will AI take my job? AI or humans? I lecture at a few universities, guest lecture. I think, Richard, you're here from ATU in Sligo, but you know, I often get asked, especially by young students, will AI take my job? Are humans going to become obsolete? And my answer here is absolutely not, guys. Especially, we also go every year, sort of February, March, to the UK National Manufacturing Summit at in Coventry in the US, where a lot of auto manufacturers, big turbine manufacturers, and large producers go to. And the debates I hear at the summit is always, do we have the talent? Why is manufacturing and engineering not attracting the right talent? And guys, my tip really is nurture your talent. Assure that as I said to you, sitting in a room of 5 people who have AI ambitions and a strategy, assure you bring your teams with the knowledge of your business and those business methodologies, the problem-solving skills. And this is a little joke. If you'll see the picture on screen, you can hear from my accent. I was born and grew up in South Africa, even though these days I'm mostly in the UK. I started my first statistical engineering consulting gig at a steel plant that belongs today to Tata Steel. And Harry is this is not the real Harry and the real me. I hope that 30 years ago I looked kind of like this. And Harry's got a few more grey hairs, but I walked into Harry's plant in my little business suit, climbed up the steel steps, and he asked me, "Hello, sweetheart, and where's your boss?" and didn't understand that I was there to help him solve some problems. Now, Harry and I still work together today, but what we managed to do well, and the tip I'm giving you here is those guys who know your business well, assure they understand your AI ambitions, upskill them, guys. If you're going to attract young talent into your business, young engineering talent, add AI and data training and data literacy and analytical skills into that pot of skills that you teach them. Those two shall meet, please, and don't go and employ 300 young data scientists, because I see these guys coming out of university and they are sometimes good Python programmers, and that's about it. They don't understand your business. Yes, hire 1 or 2 of them that can teach those skills to your engineering business, but upskill that engineering business. Nurture the talent, nurture the people who know your business, and attract youngsters by teaching those engineering folk. And I've got 1 or 2 customers that really do this well. And I'm almost done, guys. Going to end off here to say to you, we've really got customers that have done these things super well in mining industry, upskilling the engineering workforces. And in oil and gas, we've got an oil and gas company, Phillips, where we have trained since 2019 up to now over 3,500 of the chemical, metallurgical well engineers, process engineers on data analytics and AI, and they go through the course slowly. But the mining customers take their intake of annual engineering students that come in as engineers in training, actually get training from us around analytics, AI, data science, fast-moving consumer goods, really making sure that engineers understand industrial statistics, industrial modeling, AI, and a really good scale. Again, a high-tech manufacturer of us. They have programs from basic skills to AI ML. These are people that are getting it right and getting it right at scale. So as for deploying just the AI itself, you can upskill the workforce that you have. These guys are doing it extremely well. So guys, I'm going to stop here and allow a little bit of time for Q&A. But guys, if you're unsure of what kind of what route to follow, what kind of platforms to implement when scaling with AI. Please go, if you scan this QR code, go download our Smart Factory Buyer's Guide. A lot of you took, we had printed copies at the show. The online version is there for you. Please scan. And also, guys, if you didn't have time to scan, please ask the team. We'd be very happy to point you to the right download section. But with that, I really want to thank you. This is our little stand picture. I'm done, Al. But thank you really very much for listening for so long.
Annie, I'm going to let you grab a glass of water. I know you put a lot into these
you.
presentations.
I deserve one now.
What we'll do, we'll start Q&A. Surprisingly, we normally get a lot more Q&A questions by now. So we're just going to have a moment. Please do get, and difficult ones, we'll take those as well. Difficult data challenges as well. We'll take those. We'll make sure those go to Peter. But what we'll do now, we had a couple of questions come in. I'm actually going to start with the first one because I'm the research kind of guy. I've got a background in research, especially around data and analytic platform. And then I'll hand this one. It's kind of a couple of questions that come in. We'll combine. I will hand it across to you, Annie. The first one was talking around that research that we showed earlier, and that's from the manufacturing momentum report. And we do have a soft copy, so I can get that out. What I'll do is I'll check with the manufacturer, make sure that's okay, and we can get it out to you guys. But the question that came in, it was talking around where should we start, where should we pivot to when we're looking at the best success rates and proving value for the business. And what's very interesting, I'm going to jump to one of those research bits that Annie, you touched on. People that are successful in proving value are tying those first pilots and the rollout of those pilots to efficiencies and productivity gains. And that's really interesting because if you come from that Six Sigma background, that's where you're going to be very much focused, and that's very interesting. They tend to keep away from experimental, the art of the possible. Let's do something wacky. And from Annie, I think we've had actually I think the three of us have had probably similar long experiences within driving successful implementations. Keep away from the wacky. Pick something that's going to save you money because your FD will thank you, and the business will thank you. At the end of the day, this isn't around burning money; it's around efficiencies and driving improvement.
Yeah, well, at the show we saw those lovely dancing robots. We will want to use AI for that, but the dancing robot is not going to bring you better efficiency. One of the customers said, "I want one."
What I want to do here, because I want to tag this in, and by the way, Ralph, thank you for this one as well. So we've been talking around efficiencies, but it's also where do we start? And that was a second question from Ralph. Annie, I want to almost lead this question a little bit because I remember you talking around how you use Six Sigma to pick some of your first use cases. Yeah. So can you bring that to life and share with your experiences of what kind of use cases to pick and how to get going and get going fast?
Yeah, when we're looking at that first piece or the first left-hand side of our little curve, the use case prioritization, number one, we need to assure, and I definitely use Lean and Six Sigma methodologies, voice of the business, voice of the process, voice of the customer. Peter touched on it, business value. Where's the business value? Am I aligning what I'm trying to solve with business value? Else, people are going to say to you, oh, that's pretty, or that's cool that you found that there's some relationship between A and B and we, but what is the business value? That's great. They're not going to give you the time of day to scale and attack more use cases if you do not bring that business value. So yes, do not throw those methodologies out of the water when picking your use cases. We use project hoppers where we're looking at, number one, do I have the data? Number two, is it suitable for AI? But then does it bring business value? And if you take it through all of those gates and you have the mix of all of that, man, you've got a good starting use case. And take all of your use cases through those gates, because if you don't do it right, you are going to maybe start well and fast and then fail afterwards. Make sure we keep sticking to the recipe, you know, and doing all the things that we should be doing.
Brilliant, thank you, Annie. We've got a new one. One just popped in. Actually, it's we've replaced, and this makes me smile, by the way, because actually we've written about it. So Annie showed a QR code, and what we'll do is just after I hand this over to the guys, I'll send a little direct link as well, so you don't, if you didn't catch the QR code. But we've replaced data silos with data silos and analytics silos. And we've seen a lot of this, by the way. We saw it with other early technologies with analytics. If you work with companies like Wade and you bring your data together, then don't have analytics silos where, for example, different parts of the business are trying to implement, for example, Gen AI, and the rest of the business is doing something else. Annie, I want to throw that across to yourself. How do you ensure that platform approach of making sure that you break down silos of both data and analytics?
And I almost want to, again, Peter, I want to refer back to your slide where you were saying, make sure you can reuse, repurpose those data products. It's very important. If you build it right, if we work with guys like Wade, they assure that they don't build a data product that serves one use case only. We go look at what brings business value, what data brings business value. And then we can reuse. If we create good data products to start out with, you'll find very quickly that it's much faster to scale out and reuse and making sure that now that I'm saying, well, this is my data product, I want to use it to build a AI agent for HR to answer, or for we've got one of our oil and gas companies that's got the coolest little agent for safety logging and talking about safety problems and so forth. But that same data can be used for many other AI models. So don't use data products and data silos. Now you've solved that problem, don't go do it with your AI as well. Reuse those things. They're purposeful. It brings you there faster. Once again, it all ties together in my mind.
Yeah, I can just comment on that. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Al, for bringing me in on that one. Because when you're actually choosing the use cases that is driving the business forward, on each use case, you also add the attribute, which type of data source are these going to be used? And I would say, consider the ones that have common data sources, because it's so much easier that you can actually produce and scale use case 2, 3, and 4, which are using the same data set. So it's going to be so much easier for everyone if you can scale out those with additional use cases with a fraction of time and cost to scale out those capabilities. So take a few minutes when you are identifying the use cases. Try to make them small and reusable as much as possible, and think of it before you start. Identify the data source, reuse them as much as possible, and then you can cluster it into a group of use cases, which is going to be so much easier for you to realize, actually. So good point.
Yeah. Peter, thanks for that. We've got another question in, and actually, if this hadn't popped up, it's something that I wanted to jump in and talk about. But it's so we see this a lot. This year we're doing data. Next year we're doing analytics. We're doing right. So Peter, I'm going to throw that across to yourself. But I also want to remind you, when we were getting together and just prepping and making sure the slides were the right format for today, you talked about 1 + 1 isn't 2, it's 3. Can you talk about that joined up approach, or how you'd look at this, how you'd architect getting data right before analytics, or how that starts? I think you touched on this just slightly a minute ago, actually. But...
Yeah, I mean, instead of building those, fragile and manual maintained data pipelines, we were really trying to automate the full data lifecycle, where I was, talking about the integration, where you're grabbing the data, you're transforming the data, meaning you clean and wash the data, and you orchestrate and monitoring governance. And the last bit, when you really can control the data quality and the lineage all the way from the data source all the way out to the data products, when we are making it ready for the AI application and the use cases that Anne is talking about. And you can actually also make it visible that the end user can see, yeah, this number is green because now the data flow is 100%, because then we're also building up the trust, because we also have discovered that there's a little bit of a discussion. Can we trust the data? Can we trust the AI application? And can we actually take a decision based on that result? So yes, I think there's definitely a lot of synergies between our capabilities, the data guys, and the Data Shack, which is the expert within each industry and building the application side of it. Definitely.
Yeah, and I look back to the stakeholders we're talking about. I often walk into a room where those stakeholders are arguing with one another on a version of the truth. The plant GM is saying, well, Mr. Process Engineer, you saying our downtime is A, but my dashboard says that it's B. And what is the right version of the truth? If one looks at end-to-end properly designed solution, there's always the truth and the real version, because often when you have that siloed data, I connect it direct to a MES system and I get answers, and when it's cleaned and properly served up to management, they get a different answer. We need to, this avoids all of that, and all four your stakeholders are seeing the same version, and it is the real truth. It's not a version or their version of today's, what they think today, and it often happens if we don't do this properly.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, just to underline that again, because the monitoring and the data governance, that is key to make that happen, as you just stated. And then you build up the trust for those applications, and then you can have the senior management take decisions, which could be business crucial for them. So yes, monitoring is super, super important.
Yeah. So we've had not questions, but actually just some kind of Ahmed kind of notes pop up around people agreeing with those statements, and I think what's very interesting is actually if you bring data, if you're designing and executing on your data at the same time as your analytics, you can actually see the use case, which means that you can go back to the again. I always talk about get buy-off from the FD, get buy-off from the business, and that's a really, really nice way. It kind of fits into that start fast and yet still scale. And I'd also say that actually doing data before analytics it's kind of back to front. So that's really cool. I'm mindful of time. We really like to ensure that everyone gets a comfort break before their next meeting or lunchtime. So we'll finish on this one. A question that's just popped in around recovery. We've talked about, okay, we're going to do something. Actually, we've got issues where we've got data and analytics partners that are not performing. Can you guys come in at that stage and look at AI and data assessments and look at what's failing? And the answer is yes. Please get in contact with us about that, because we can do that both at the execution level, so on a kind of team level, but we also run kind of strategy days as well. Those coming up where we can also sit with C-suites about just realigning, making sure that we have a North Star. North Stars are very important across the board. It's at this time that I want to thank our speakers. For joining. I know you again, Annie. I know you put a lot in, and Peter, we got together and you've put a lot in today. Most important people that are on this session today is you, though. So thanks. You really have come from a number of places around the globe. So lovely to see you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, guys, you're valuable to us, and your time is valuable to us. Thank you for continuing supporting us and attending these, and we try to bring you what is fresh, what we hear out there, so that we get you and keep you ahead of the curve. That's our job, I think, and I hope we're doing the right things for you.
And in wrap up, and it's normally something I say at the start, but with our technical, again, you can tell we're not AI bots, because this wouldn't happen with our technical difficulties. As the team know, I'm going to go and put my I Love Microsoft 365 Teams shirt back on today. I say that in irony. But what I would have mentioned this at the start of this is, by next week, everyone here will get a recording And what we'll also do is we'll send out a link to the Smart Factory Buyer's Guide. It talks around some of Peter's work and the Wade in there as well. So we'll get both of those out by next week. But in between time, I trust you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks for some of our US colleagues that joined so early this morning. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.